So what is going on, guys? I am BlackOpsAmazing. Welcome back to another zombies Q&A, where today I'm going to be answering some of your guys' questions to do with the zombies storyline. If you enjoyed today's video, a like rating if you feel like it would be very much appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed if you want to see some more videos on the channel, and also click that little bell notification icon as well. But without further ado, when you're ready, let's get into this. So the first question comes from Devin Dyer, and he says, who is Sammy? A pretty simple question, but if you're asking it, then obviously you want to know. So there's a couple of Sammys in game, obviously a shortened down name, but Sammy in zombies usually refers to Samuel Stuhlinger. That's what Richtofen calls him. Obviously, the voice in Stuhlinger's head is Richtofen. He can only talk to Stuhlinger, and Stuhlinger can only hear him. And so, since they have this connection, Richtofen will often call him Sammy, short for Samuel. Of course, we've also got Samantha Maxis, but we don't really hear her being called Sammy. She's just referred to as Samantha. So there we go. Lieutenant Sandman says, hey BlackOpsAmazing, can you tell me what's up with the worm in Revelations, the one that eats the Pack-a-Punch? Well, that creature, just like the Mogwai, the parasites, the little meatballs, that is simply just another apothecon. It just looks different, it's bigger. As we know, all of the apothecons look the same. They all ascended or descended, is that, which one is it? Ascended, which one is it? They all come from or have evolved from the Keepers. Obviously, millions of years ago, these all started out as Keepers. The Dark Ether then infected them, so they became corrupted Keepers. And then, when they were banished to the Dark Ether, over time they began to contort, they began to change. And as eons passed by, these Keepers no longer resembled anything of their former selves, and so became the Apothecons. They looked totally different. And some of them looked like the giant worm, as you say, that we see in Revelations. Junior Aguiala? Yeah, I'm so bad with names today. Says, where does Maxis go when he dies? So we know that Maxis dies on Moon. He actually also dies on Origins, or should I say Richtofen kills him, because Maxis becomes infected by Element 115. Richtofen ends up removing his brain before he turns, and then obviously puts it inside of a jar, and then inside of the Maxis drone to keep it safe, to keep it preserved. So he dies in Origins, but I'm pretty sure that you're referring to the events on Moon, where, as we know, he attempts to get Samantha to come out of the MPD. She ran there after Richtofen teleported Maxis and Samantha away from Doris. Obviously, Samantha got teleported to the Moon, and then on Moon, she accidentally ran inside of the MPD. And so, Richtofen got Maxis and told him to tell Samantha to leave the MPD. But instead of telling her to come out, he told her to kill everyone related to Group 935. And after he said that to Samantha, Maxis killed himself. But what happened to Maxis when he killed himself? Well, he then merged with the technology on Griffin Station. Because when Richtofen teleported Maxis and Samantha away, as I said, Samantha got teleported to the Moon, but Maxis got teleported to the Crazy Place. And while he was there, he developed the power to merge with electricity. And so when Richtofen collected Maxis from the Crazy Place and brought him to Moon to tell Samantha to come out, and then killed himself, because he developed that power in the Crazy Place, when he died on Moon, he merged with the electricity, the systems, the computers on Griffin Station, and he then became part of the computer systems on Moon. He merged with the technology on Griffin Station. So hopefully that answers your question as to what happened to Maxis when he died. Red AC says, does Dempsey or did Dempsey have a daughter? Now this is a very common question. Obviously a lot of people think that Dempsey's daughter is Misty, but where does all of this come from? Well, the original Dempsey does have a daughter. He does say back during the original timeline that he does have a 5-year-old daughter, so that is confirmed. But a lot of people always ask me, and I always see in the comment section, a lot of people saying that Misty is Dempsey's daughter, or asking me the question if this is true. And to be honest, there really is nothing to back that up. And Misty does say during transit that she remembers her daddy's face when the zombies caught him. And as we know, Tank Dempsey isn't dead. The way she says that she remembers her father's face when the zombies got him, makes it sound like her father is dead. She was there and watched when the zombies got him. Also, Misty is a farm girl, she lived on a farm, and I think Tank Dempsey is a little bit far away from that. And the most obvious one is obviously the name. It's Abigail Misty Brierton. The surname just simply isn't the same. We have Tank Dempsey and then Abigail Misty Brierton. If it was her father, you would think that they'd have the same last name, but clearly they don't. I mean, I could kind of see where people are coming from. They're similar in personality, where they really just don't care and they just want to go shooting everything, but this isn't Dempsey's daughter. It's just a common theory out there for some reason. However, like you said, to answer your question, Dempsey does have a daughter who was 5 during the 1940s, and Misty does have a father who, as she says, was caught by the zombies. The next question from Blitzer 9000 Gaming says, who is the crying girl's voice we hear in the furnace room in The Giant? Well, we don't know who exactly this is. It could be a random little girl, but more than likely it is Samantha. As we know, when Dr. Maxis, her father, left Samantha in Richtofen's care, he experimented on her. He experimented on her at Doris and in Siberia, Call of the Dead. Obviously, Maxis didn't know about these experiments, but in secret, that's what Richtofen did. So this little girl crying, this voice that you hear, could be Samantha crying after Richtofen has done his experimentation, whatever he was doing. He did a lot of things in secret from Maxis, and that was one of them. So it possibly could be Samantha. Brother Gunn says, how did the transit crew meet up? Well, as we know, first off, Russman worked for Broken Arrow. During 2025, when the rockets hit the Earth, Broken Arrow was disabandoned. After their primary facility that Russman worked at was lost in a fire, after Richtofen working with Broken Arrow and at that facility for over 40 years, his mind was eventually broken due to the exposure of element 115. And so, after losing his job, he began to wander the Earth. When the zombie outbreak happened on Earth, Samuel joined a group called The Flesh, and Misty obviously was fighting zombies on her farm. Well, Russman, before leaving the Broken Arrow facility, stole the bus. He stole the transit bus from the Broken Arrow facility, and just as he was leaving, he bumped into Russman, and so Stuhlinger and Russman became friends. They got on the bus and began to wander. And then somehow it seems that Malton managed to escape the bunker. I don't know how, but he did, which led to him meeting Misty, and so now those two are together. And they all finally met when Stuhlinger and Russman on the bus run into Malton and Misty at a diner near the Hanford site facility. And so that's how they all met. Stuhlinger and Russman became friends, Malton and Misty became friends, and together at this diner, that's where they all met. So there we go. The only strange thing about that is the fact that, like I said, Malton is in the bunker in Nuketown, and then when we play Nuketown, we can also hear the transit bus going off in the background. I originally thought that the transit bus would have picked Malton up from Nuketown, but as the Canorium says, that isn't the case. Malton and Misty somehow end up at the diner, in which they then meet Stuhlinger and Russman. So there we go. The final question comes from Tyler, and he says, why is Richtofen's name engraved on the object Brock and Gary find? So we're seeing Shangri-La on this altar, Richtofen's name is engraved on the front. Why is this? Well, during the 1940s, when Richtofen first joined Doris, as we know, along with Schuster, they were doing experiments on teleportation. They were doing tests. And Richtofen, being so confident in his success, he volunteered himself to be teleported. And instead of being teleported to the other end of the facility, he was instead teleported to the moon. When he was at the moon, he encountered the MPD, and while inspecting it, he became electrocuted, began hearing voices in his head. One of those voices was the Shadow Man. The device then teleported Richtofen to Shangri-La. And while he was at Shangri-La, due to his corruption from the Dark Ether, Richtofen was gradually driven insane by the obsession to find Argotha. Whilst exploring the temples of Shangri-La, trying to find this mystical place Argotha, Richtofen came across the natives that lived here. And because the natives had never seen anyone like Richtofen in these jungles or these temples ever before, they began worshipping him. Richtofen was worshipped by the natives of Shangri-La, and so an altar was built in his name. And that was also the first time that Richtofen encountered the focusing stone. Richtofen stayed at Shangri-La for almost a month, trying to find Argotha, being worshipped by these natives, talking to them, doing whatever he was doing at Shangri-La, but he stayed here for almost a month before he teleported back to Doris to tell Schuster about his plan. And so, as I said, the reason we see Richtofen's name on the altar in Shangri-La, well, that is what the natives did. They engraved his name in this stone as they worshipped him. So there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Hopefully it has helped you out. If it has, a like rating would be very much appreciated. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. YouTube right now is not in the best place. There's quite a few things going on, which is a little bit annoying. So I'm just kind of experimenting with a couple of different things to try and keep it going, because it's quite difficult right now with YouTube literally censoring freaking everything. Can't do anything on YouTube now. This is oh no, it's really annoying, but I'm gonna try a few different new things out. I mean, there's really nothing else I can do. But thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.